everyone. A very warm welcome to you all this fine day. I'm pleased to welcome you to the first session of the Women in Product Summit 2024. I'm Harleen, your host for this series. The Women in Product Summit offers an energetic platform for you to showcase your journey, exchange experiences, absorb wisdom from remarkable leaders, and feel empowered to break boundaries collectively. Our mission is to redefine the traditional leadership norms, ignite your inner potential, and forge a future aligned with your aspirations. The summit will consist of 3 weeks of immersive online sessions, building up to the grand finale of the in person conference on the 7th of April in Bangalore at CMRIT in Whitefield. We will be hearing from an array of inspirational women from all walks of life during the upcoming online sessions, culminating with a one of a kind experience at our in person conference. The first session, which is today's, will delve into the realm of product marketing with a seasoned product marketer who will give us insights into the essence of product marketing. As mentioned, we will be conducting multiple virtual sessions over the course of the next 3 weeks. Our next session, titled Building for Young India, will be led by the co-founder of Kind Life, Manasa Garamela, where she'll deep dive into decoding the Gen Z consumer and adapting to new tech channels. The cherry on top of it all is the grand finale of the in-person conference that will take place on the 7th of April. Our featured speakers, some of whom are visible on your screen, are all inspirational women who will be sharing actionable perspectives on careers, products, and current challenges. The day promises to be power packed and a unique experience that is designed to equip professionals with essential tools and knowledge for excellence in the professional landscape. You can follow. Make sure to register soon to secure your spot at this session. I'd like to give you a quick introduction to the Institute of Product Leadership. The Institute is Asia's first business school in courses in product management, product leadership, data science, design, strategy, and leadership. The Institute has partnered with 3 universities in India and the University of did in 2012 with a singular mission of creating 10,000 product leaders in the country. Ever since, the Institute has designed and delivered universities and corporates to the senior working professional leadership. The Institute has built 700 plus successful across the world. We're also not. You can find out more about. You can find the link for this via LinkedIn. You can find the forum is a volunteer-driven non-profit for practitioners by practitioners, a global movement with chapters in Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, and Silicon Valley. The forum's mission is to create an essential and unique platform for product Once the speaker for tonight presents her insights, we'll open up for questions. Please keep the questions ready. You can post the same in the Q&A section on Zoom. This session is being streamed live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So viewers on any of these channels, please feel free to post your questions in the comment section and we will share them with the speaker. You guys shouldn't miss an intriguing questions. Here is some exciting news for all the attendees tonight. You have an opportunity to win a free digital course. The best asked question that will be decided by the speaker at the end of the session will get this reward. You can find out the array of digital learning courses offered by the Institute through the link in the chat. The winner will get to pick a course of their own choice. The Institute offers new age skill courses for every step of your career. Every course is built, curated, and designed by industry practitioners. So it would be a good idea for you guys to, post your questions and interact with our speaker because you have a great reward awaiting you at the end of it. Without further ado, introducing our distinguished speaker for today, a product marketer with over a decade of experience in startups and Fortune 500 companies. Recognized as a trailblazer, she's honored for her contributions to the workplace and community. This latest book, titled Product Marketing Mastering the Art and Science of Product Marketing, reflects her passion for empowering individuals through career growth, authentic leadership, and mindfulness. Hello, Dev. Glad to have you here with us today.
Hi, Harleen. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me participate in this amazing Women in Product Summit.
Sorry, Dev, I didn't catch that.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be part of this Women in Product Summit.
Okay. I don't want to take any more of your time. This session, or I can say screen, is now yours.
All right. Thanks, Harleen. I'm super excited to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Div Manikam. I am a mentor and a product marketing influencer. It's amazing to kick off this series with all of you today. And what I will be sharing are my learnings and experiences over the past decade of how I've seen product marketing evolve. What does product marketing mean? And how can we master the science and art of product marketing itself? There are parts in here which is bringing in diverse perspectives, empathizing with your customers, your teams, your stakeholders, even yourself at times, and challenging the status quo. That is what drives the essence of product marketing. So join me as we go down this journey, and would love to know where everyone's joining in from. So in the chat, if you could share where you're joining in from, it's always good to know. I'm currently joining in from San Francisco Bay Area, so it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And thank you for folks who are joining in late in your day or early in your morning as well. All right. So to kick it off, like I said, I'm Div. Would love to connect with folks who are joining us today. And it's always great to see global representation. So I see there are folks from India, there's folks from New York. Awesome. So I'm personally very passionate about empowering folks, and this is probably my ikigai and my purpose in life, the reason why I wake up every morning. So as a mentor, I have 3 areas that I specialize in: career growth, authentic leadership, and product marketing, with a sprinkle of mindfulness, sharing my own stories with stress and anxiety and everything along the way. In the past 4 years, I think I have gone through a lot of self-discovery, a lot of understanding who I am, what I want to be, and how do I see myself. And that has led to writing and publishing my own books, learning about myself along the way. So the first book was in December 2021, where I got a chance to share about a broken teacup. This was my own journey through stress and anxiety, how I stumbled upon mindfulness, essentialism, and self-care, and realized how it is critical to my own well-being and also the well-being of my team. Followed by that, Fearless is about authentic leadership and the kind of leadership that I aspire to be. And then I wrote about self-publishing. So as I was working on publishing books, I learned a lot about the process. And then I created the product marketing book. So it took me about 3 books to finally have the courage to write one about product marketing itself. And this year, beginning of the year, I shared some of my travel passions, some of my food and recipe passions as well in One Meal at a Time. And actually on Thursday, March 21st, I'm launching my next book, which is Love Blooms, which is all about flowers around the world and gardens around the world. So as you can see, there are different parts of me, but today we'll be talking about product marketing and what does that entail. A lot of times when you jump into product marketing, you have the question of what is it? What are you trying to do? And I've been fortunate to probably try by the fire, if you will, from messaging and positioning to product launch, buyer persona, competitive intelligence, sales enablement, you name it. I don't think there's an area that I haven't touched. And if I haven't, I'm always open to learning and getting my feet wet into the new process, the new experience. This has given me opportunities to lead teams, grow teams, and also manage both product marketing and product management at Lenovo Infrastructure Services Group, where I had a team of 25 in 10 plus countries around the world. Over the time, as I was challenging the status quo and learning about product marketing, I was also fortunate to be recognized by the Product Marketing Alliance as a top 100 product marketing influencer. I love this quote by Maya Angelou. If you are always trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. And I think that is probably the story of my life and my career as well. And throughout the book, throughout the session today, I'll have prompts and questions for you all, but at the same time, I'll be also sharing some motivational quotes because that's what inspires me as well. So if I look back at my career, as Harleen mentioned, right, a lot of my experience has been startups, has been Fortune 500 companies, but amidst it all, I think there's one consistent theme, which was winning together. It didn't matter if it was a team of 20, 30 people, or if it was a team of 100 plus folks within the organization. We grew together, we learned the hard way, we imagined what the world could be when we are cheering and bringing out the best in one another. And that's what all is about when it comes to an organization, when it comes to building your career. But I couldn't have done it without that continuous learning. And it's an honor to be part of the Institute of Product Leadership, right? This is where your learning continues, right? You might have gotten your bachelor's, you might have gotten your master's, maybe even a PhD, but along the way, your learning doesn't stop once you've graduated. Your learning continues forever if you're being honest with yourself. And for me today, that learning continues through Goodreads, where I'm reading a book a week. That's my target that I've set for myself. I am also trying to learn new languages on Duolingo, right? So there are different ways that you can continue to foster, and the world is changing, your customers are changing, everything is changing. So how do we stay up to date and how do we continue to stay current and relevant in the market? And I'm a big believer of community as well, right? Everything that we do is centered around the community, and everything that we are is part of who we exist and what we give back to the community. So if you are part of an organization or a community, I highly encourage you to be involved, to participate, and to give back in whatever capacity you can. So today I'll be walking you through some parts and parcels of the book, Product Marketing, Mastering the Art and Science of PMM. And along the way, there are stories that will be shared. There are values and beliefs that we'll be walking through, understanding what is the essence of product marketing itself. We'll talk about it in 3 parts today. So we'll talk about inspire. We'll talk about influence, which will be about OKRs, about unified narrative and belonging, and then impact, which is about that winning together mentality, right? The stakeholder alignment. And where do we see product marketing to evolve and to be in the future as well. So I have, I'll be sharing this ebook here, and I also have a discount code for folks if you're interested to take a look at the book itself. To have a 50% discount for folks who are interested. I personally believe that there's a lot that we can learn from product marketing, but then there's a lot we can learn in general about career and growth as well. So I'll be weaving in both those aspects. And as a product team, we had begun a journey to establish what is the organization, who are we, and how do we foresee our core values and beliefs. And it came down to three themes, if you will. And I like the synchronicity of the I's, right? It's inspire, which is about that trust and credibility, which is let's just make sure we respect and trust each other, irrespective of the level or title, right? It's not just the loudest voice in the room. It's not just the senior title in the room that makes the decisions, but collectively as a group, we can. And that's that collective intelligence that we can bring together. And we have to create that space, right? The second is about influence. And this is where we are thinking about extreme ownership, right? We own the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Whatever we do, we are accountable to each other, and it's not a blame game. And sometimes it can feel that way, right? Some teams feel like they're the scapegoat. And I have been in situations like that where it has been challenging, where you're wondering, it feels like you're climbing up the mountain, but the mountain keeps moving higher and higher, and you just can't get to the summit, right? And this is also part and parcel of that extreme ownership. The third is about impact, and this is about your results and relationships, right? We strive for team recognition. We strive for team recognition, not individual recognition. As much as we may have rock stars within our team, we win or lose together. So if, let's say, we are the product marketing team or we are the product team, and we're not achieving our company goals and objectives, we are all going to lose together, right? There is no, oh, I did my part, I can't get the other team to do what's needed. And that's where we can share our best and worst moments together. We can ride the rainbow, if you will. And we know that every cloud has a silver lining, right? There's always a storm, and there's always light at the end of that. And these tough times can make us stronger along the way. And I'm definitely amazed, and I'm also passionate about the opportunities that I have had to work every day, challenge each of us with these teams, and make us better as individuals, right? I couldn't be where I am today if it weren't for all the amazing folks I call my Dunbar 150 to be part of the journey with me to empower a high-performing and mindful team, right? That's where it all comes down to. So we should definitely celebrate the wins that we have, recognize our efforts, and make sure that we're thinking about those aspects. So I would love to hear from you. What are your values and beliefs today? And how do you see that feed into your day-to-day as a product leader, as a product stakeholder, if you will? So I'll give a few seconds. Share your values and beliefs. And if anybody would like to come off mute and share, happy to unmute you as well. So let me know. Just raise your hand on Zoom. All right, while folks are thinking about values, we'll get started. Definitely type in your values and we'll talk more along the way. So the first part today we'll be talking about is inspire. And I have today's session as 3-part series. So we definitely want this to be engaging and as a conversation more so than me just presenting. So definitely leverage the chat. Feel free to raise your hand if you would like to talk about the values or talk about any of the topics that we will be prompting today. So here's another quote for all of you from Oprah Winfrey, right? Surround yourself with people who are only going to lift you higher. And I think this has been my biggest learning lesson in life and in my career is there will always be people, and I call it the 1/3 rule, if you will, where you'll have 1/3 of the people who are passionate and care about you. You'll have 1/3 of the people who um, want to be your supporters and will be there to cheer you on. And you'll have 1/3 of the people that don't care at all, right? They'll be the ones that'll be waiting to take you down and or one up, if you will. So those are the people that you definitely don't want in your circle. And you want to be surrounding yourself with folks that are going to lift you higher. So that's an important aspect when you think about the opportunity at hand. I love that. Vanusha, you said curiosity and continuous improvement. If you would like to come off mute, feel free to just raise your hand. Happy to have you talk about it a little bit. We're all going to be learning from each other in these 90-minute session. So definitely let me know if you're up for a quick chat. All right, awesome. You should be able to speak, but if you're not able to, let me know.
Hi Dev, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Hi, Vanisha. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you so much for the session. So yeah, just to elaborate a little more on the curiosity and the continuous improvement part, I think curiosity has really what's gotten me to New York. So I just recently graduated in a master's in marketing analytics, but prior to this,
Congrats.
I did do my MBA in marketing and had some 3 years of work experience. So it was always, during my work, when I was working as a product marketer, it was always that, that analytics. I wanted to learn more about data analytics or, how to analyze data pretty well. So that's what's always led me to the next journey in my life. And that's why I believe that curiosity is one of the most important values that I share. And of course, that goes hand in hand with continuous improvement. Thanks.
It does, yeah. And thank you so much for sharing, right? It goes leaps and bounds in terms of the steps we take in our own career path, in our own life to make us who we are. And it feels like it was yesterday, but 14 years ago, I took that leap of faith and came to California. And I haven't really looked back since. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And congratulations on your master's.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So let's keep this action going. So let's talk a little bit about the essence of product marketing. And whether you're a product leader, whether you're just starting as an aspiration and saying, hey, this opportunity, whether it's product marketing, whether it's product management, you name it, if you have product in the role, in the title, there are a few key aspects to consider. And so I'll walk you through my lens of how I have seen product marketing evolve, right? It's not that we are changing what we do, right? At its essence, it's still product marketing. Product marketing is still a nascent role itself. And the way I see it evolve is that it's not just about the product, right? There are solutions that you might be creating. There are maybe industries that you might be an expert in, depending on the product capabilities itself. And so there's an evolution that's happening where you're now starting to think about portfolio marketing. And somehow the word portfolio has been part of my life. I say that I am actually living a portfolio life today because there are so many facets and so many aspects that I want to bring into my day-to-day, whether it's me as a product marketing director at a B2B SaaS company, whether it's me as a mentor, whether it's me as a teacher, me as a photographer. There are so many aspects that come in, right? So portfolio marketing is how I see that evolution of not just about product marketing, but thinking more holistically and thinking more in the lens of your customer. This is where we exist because we can be and we are the knowledge experts of the product, of the market, and of the buyers. And this is where we are going to look at being those architects of growth within an organization, trying to find alignment, trying to find the intersections and the cross-functional capabilities. And that's where we can be the voice of the market who listens to the buyer, who understands those needs and insights, and then shares those across the organization. So there are a few disciplines when it comes to the role of portfolio marketing, right? And everything is data driven. And I loved how Venetia talked about marketing and analytics, because at the core, whatever we are doing, it needs to be backed up with data. And whether you're creating your messaging and positioning, talking about product launches, solution launches, whether it's about the buyer persona, the audience growth, whether you're thinking about enablement, whether it's global sales enablement or it is partner enablement, you're looking at competitive intelligence, you're looking at win-loss programs. There are so many facets of it, right? And at the end of the day, everything that we do is directly linked back to the market presence. It's linked to media and analyst engagement, right? So all of those aspects are part of product marketing. And this itself tells you how many different layers we are touching, right? So at its core, we are thinking about the customer, but we are involved with so many different teams within the organization: product, marketing, sales. Think about engineering, UX and design, right? There are so many conversations you're having there and building those relationships. Professional services, customer support, customer success. When you're thinking about the next phase, right? When your customer has bought the product, now what, right? Looking at adoption, looking at retention, all of those aspects come in, right? So there are so many layers that you can bring in, and a product marketer can come in from different facets. So let's maybe expand a little bit on that. When you think about that buyer persona, right? And we'll talk about personas, we'll talk a little bit about your buyer journey. It's about building and understanding your buyer to the core, right? It's not just about saying, oh yeah, we have all these content that we want to get out there. It's really understanding the buyer. What are their challenges? What are their pain points? And then working on that messaging and positioning. So you're crafting your value proposition, your narrative. You're thinking about storytelling, right? All of these aspects come together. You're creating content that will help drive some of that momentum. Then you have your product and solution launch. This is where you're thinking about your key stakeholders, right? What are the launch tiers? What are the integrated marketing campaigns that you have? How are you going to execute on this launch plan? How are you going to bring all of the teams together to make this work? And then look at your go-to-market. So here, you're thinking about your market segmentation. What areas of the market are we going after? Is this for small, medium business? Is this for the mid-market? Is this for the enterprise? Which industries are we going to go after? What are our top 5 industries that we are specialized in? Do we have an understanding of where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are, and where our opportunities and threats are, right? The SWOT analysis, if you will. And then looking at mapping that back to the buyer needs. Finally, you're looking at, if you are a B2B organization, you also have your sales and partner teams that you're collaborating with, right? So thinking about enablement, sales plays, any messaging and content that needs to be created, as well as delivering that enablement across your sales, customer success, and business development teams. The whole 9 yards, if you will. So here's a prompt for all of you. Would you rather market a product with cutting edge technology or one with timeless classic design? And I'll give you a few seconds to think. Would you rather market a product with cutting edge technology or one with timeless classic design? Feel free to type it into the chat. You can raise your hand. I can bring you back up on the screen. Where would you be? And I'll have these prompts throughout. So for each section, we'll talk a little bit about it. Cutting edge tech. All right, I see 2 cutting edge tech. Both Divyas, who would like to go first? Feel free to raise your hand and I can bring you on the screen. All right, I think we have a 2-by-2 tie right now. All right, let's start with Divya. Okay. Go ahead, Divya, you should be able to speak. If you're speaking, we can't hear you yet.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you now. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I was thinking it would be cutting edge technology because it would be something new to the world, which would actually need marketing for people to know what it is, what the potential of that particular product is. While timeless classic design is already, the market is aware of it. So probably it would not need much of marketing.
Fair enough. I love that. Thank you, Divya. All right.
Yeah.
I think we have Divya Nasa. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think I feel the same that cutting edge technology is something where you kind of bring out to your audience that you are also doing something about the latest technology changes that are happening with it and how we can leverage it for the benefit and how we can do things in a more quicker, easier and faster way. Whereas the timeless classic design is something that anybody might already be familiar with, and that's the basic which is expected anyways.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you both. All right. So Jenya, Amrita, Vanisha, who wants to go next? You want to raise your hand? Vanisha, you should be able to just go unmute and speak. You want to get started on Timeless Classic?
Yeah, sure, Dev. I just believe that it's just going to be easier if you market a product with a timeless classic design because, yeah, emotion, like I said, emotion, nostalgia, those are some, emotions that can easily, be evoked once you're
Is there a
looking.
product that comes to mind for you when you think about Timeless Classic?
Well, probably a Rolex.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. It is a classic for sure. Yeah.
Right. So it's just easier to endure that appeal. And yeah, I believe that marketing a more cutting edge technology, it'll just take a lot of persuasion on the marketer's part.
It will, yes. and you're going up against something that the market doesn't quite know yet, right? But it's an interesting question. And Saujanya and Amrita, if you're open to sharing, feel free to raise your hand. Would love to hear from you as well. All right, there we go. Amrita, go ahead.
Hi Dev. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi, great inspiration, great session that's going on. I just wanted to tell that it's always better to go with the timeless classic design because cutting edge technology will always have one iteration higher very soon, and then people will be always running with the one higher. So if something is already proven as timeless and classic, I think people will always go back to it. So I prefer timeless and classic in that way.
Good. All right. Thank you, Amrita. Appreciate it. Saujanya, if you are able to. If not, we can move forward, or you can type into the chat if you prefer. There we go. You should be able to speak now. No worries, no worries at all. Yeah, technology is always a challenge for all of us. So I hear you loud and clear. My prayers are always with the internet gods. Whenever I have to start a presentation, I'm like, please do not do not time out on me in the next 90 minutes. So as you can see, we could go both directions, whether it's cutting edge technology or whether you're thinking about timeless classic design. So I would ask all of you to maybe reflect back, think about when you think about a product that comes to mind for you when it's cutting edge technology, whether it's a timeless classic design. In one of my last sessions that I had as part of the go-to-market classes that I was teaching, we were talking about brand, and some folks talked about Amul butter and Amul, the brand itself, right? And for me, that is like a timeless classic. It's in its own way, because even though I'm here in the US and US is now home for me, whenever I think about Amul, it always takes me back home. And it's a representation of India in a good way. So those are all aspects to consider. All right. So let's go to our second part of today, and we'll have similar prompts, right? Ravishri, you talked about it depends on the product and the customer segment, right? If we target elderly folks, technology can be a challenge. But at the same time, I'm amazed how quickly elderly folks are able to even learn technology at the pace that technology is growing in its own way, right? So there are different aspects of it. And I think there's an important aspect that you're talking about, Ravishri, which is about design, right? And the simplicity goes long ways whenever you think about design. And how do you make it something that applies across all generations, across all different aspects of lifestyles, right? All of those factors do play a big role. And that, I hope, is the inspiration to kick off for today's session. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about influence. And here, we are maybe going to the second part, and we are also shifting gears a little bit to the concept and the idea of a team. And I'll share some stories, right? For me, like I said, it's the relationships that make me me. I'm always proud of the LinkedIn recommendations that I have, and that's my treasure trove, right? When I have a hard day, when I have a difficult day, I'll go to my LinkedIn to remind myself that things are not that bad. And there are days like that, right, where things definitely are not going the way it should, and it constantly feels like a struggle. So this is the story of one of my best career moments in my life, where, and it probably feels like yesterday for me, right, where we all bonded together as one team. And it's these memories and these relationships that you will always cherish. Think back to all of your career moments. Is it the numbers? Is it the results, the numbers and the metrics that you remember? Or is it the people that were with you in those times, right? So for me, this was the best time of my life. I probably found my work family, my village, if you will, all in one in these times together. And I'm always, always grateful and humbled to have met so many kind, so many amazing, so many mindful souls around the world. And whether it's been the conference that we were putting together, whether it's been an offsite that we had, or an event that we were all going to, the moment that I always remember is the dinner that we had together, right? I'm a foodie at heart, and for me, I love to pick a restaurant and bring people together. And as a product organization, we were relatively new, right? So product marketing was brought into the product organization. We had product management, user experience, brand, all of these teams coming together. And we were unified by the flavors of food, travel, and our shared experiences, right? So that's what it comes down to whenever I think about what does that one team look like? How are we thinking about those aspects? And how can we make those a reality, if you will? So this is where, let's step back to OKRs, right? You may or may not be familiar with OKRs. So OKRs are objectives and key results. They help you establish who you want to be as an organization, where do you want to be, and what are you working towards as milestones and goals. And so I like to think about shared objectives and goals across product, sales, and marketing. If we can figure that out, then the rest of the pieces, I tend to feel, that will fall in place, right? It's the pieces of the puzzle that start working together. Your cross-functional efforts for platform adoption, for advocating for your customer, for your market, is what drives this. We wanted to look at this at a market level. We wanted to be data-driven. We wanted to be persona-led. And this allowed us to adapt to market trends and drive momentum. There was this very interesting HBR article that talked about this concept that what if our teams, right, could spend 70% of their day time on day-to-day work, 20% on work improvement ideas, and 10% on experiments. The companies that thrive have been able to bring such processes in place. And it's an interesting idea. So I'll share the link if anybody wants to read more and learn more. But at the end of the day, that's a very novel idea to have, right? Oftentimes, even just the day-to-day doesn't give us enough time to do what we need to do. This is where I like to think about a mindful calendar and how do you bring those aspects together. And I've shared this on my Substack as well. Your day is to be broken down in ways that are giving you the energy to get through the day. And at the same time, you have enough balance to learn. So how do you make sure you have time to learn in the day? How do you make sure that your day is not just going in meetings all day long, right? There will be days like that, but then adjust your day accordingly so you have time to continue to grow, to continue to experiment, try new things. First is your objectives, right? As a business, what are we working towards? What are the growth strategies that we have? Are we trying to drive our customer lifetime value, which would be a great growth strategy to have, right, as an organization? Are we looking at growing our average deal size? Maybe, right? It could be a potential. Are we looking at market expansion, right? Where we are today and where we want to be next? Or are we looking at industry growth, right? This could be our opportunity to tap into industries that we haven't really been a player in. If we know which of these growth strategies we want to go after, then we can focus on our prioritized goals. This could be platform adoption, right? Maybe we're thinking about, hey, we want to grow and increase our platform revenue growth or attach rate by X%. Maybe today we have 2 products, maybe we have 5 products. So can we grow our attach rate from the customers using just our core product to maybe 2 or 3 products, right? That could be a great initiative. Can we launch new solutions that will help us drive revenue and maybe increase our number of customers? Can we look at our audience growth, right? So this is all about that buyer persona. Think about upsell, cross-sell, right? If we are evangelizing, maybe we're thinking about a partner ecosystem. Who are our top 3 partners, right? All of these things fit into the bigger story, what we are working towards. If we know that, then we can work towards our success metrics, right? Our key results, product-led growth, adoption, retention, right? It's not just about getting those deals and closing those opportunities. It's how do we retain these customers? Because as we all know, it's very expensive to get a customer and to acquire a customer. It's much more a better practice, especially for a SaaS business, to continue to retain and build that retention. We could also look at efficiency, right? There's an aspect of what does our pipeline look like today? What is the volume? What is the velocity? How quickly are we closing our deals and opportunities? These are all so interconnected. And sometimes it might feel like, oh, some of these are product questions, some of these are for sales, some of these for marketing. But together, if all 3 can come together, then we change the dynamics in a big way. So that's where I would encourage you to think about more holistically, right? We might sometimes think, oh, no, that is above my pay grade. That is not my responsibility. But somebody needs to spearhead and somebody needs to be the ambassador for these collective intelligence thoughts. And as part of that product organization, you have that intersection across these different teams. So why not, right? Don't wait for someone to tell you what needs to be done. Take the initiative and drive some of that, right? Challenge the status quo that's there today and ask the question, why? Why do we do the things that we do? And is there a better way, right? It comes to that 10% experiments and creating that culture within your organization itself. So let's maybe, as part of Influence, also talk a little bit about the buyer journey. You know it, I know it. We have all been inundated, right? You sign up for a new product or service and you get all these nurture emails. But are we really engaging with the audience when we send those nurture emails? Or are we just sending them because that's the only option that we have today, right? I give my email to read an article sometimes. Maybe there's an interesting asset, a PDF, something that I've come across. And I'm like, all I wanted was that, but I had to give you my email. And now I'm getting all this plethora of inbox emails, which doesn't mean anything to me. And my next quick action is to unsubscribe or maybe even report spam if it feels like it's not doing what it's supposed to do for me. That's a big shift, right? We as marketers need to be mindful of our customers' time, their effort, how we introduce them to the company, the product, even ask, why did you sign up in the first place? If they say, hey, all I want is this specific asset, then let it be, right? Or if they want to continue to build the relationship, then maybe do a discovery. Ask them for follow-up conversations, maybe demos, product tours, whatever it is that will make sense, right? That's what I think about when it comes to this buyer journey. We have all heard about the different phases: awareness, consideration, decision. These are all three phases of that buyer journey. I simplified it, and this was something that I'd come across a decade ago: discover, learn, try, buy, and advocate, right? In discover, we can think about those initial content that you're probably consuming. Blogs. Maybe I heard about this product or this company through social media. Then I'm now interested in figuring out, okay, I see that I have a problem. I need to solve it. I am on that learn phase. Let me do my research. Let me figure out what's happening, right? There are over 70% everyone who, especially in B2B, is trying to solve a problem and looking for solutions. They would have done their research before they pick up the phone and talk to a salesperson, right? So the web page, videos, intro webinars, anything that you can guide them and provide them the insights is going to be great. Next, we are in that middle, right? This is the make or break kind of opportunity, the try phase. They're looking at your demos. They're maybe even trying a free trial of your product. They're checking out the product webinars. These are all going to help guide them and make sure that this product does what it says it can do, and that this product is going to meet my requirements, my needs, my pain points. Then you're at that decision phase, right? I'm making the decision to buy this product. But how do I know that this product is good? I'm going to check customer reviews. I'm going to look at the community. How are people responding? Have you ever bought a product or service recently without looking at maybe Amazon reviews, or in the B2B world, G2 reviews, or any other analyst recommendation, right? All of these play such a critical role in how we decide what we want to do. But that's not it, right? Like, as product marketing, our job is not done there. Our job is done when we have converted those customers into customer success stories, right? That's the advocacy part. And that's the full buyer journey that we should be looking at. So connecting those dots, looking at what experiences resonate with us, what stories are connecting with the audience in each of these phases are just as key. So think about those aspects as you are bringing this together. So let's maybe pivot to a small question. I would love to hear, what's your favorite story? And we all love a good story, right? A good story has a compelling start to hook the interest. It has the right amount of suspense in the middle to keep you going. It has an end that we will remember forever. Now, stories have been told for centuries. Yet it's an art to master good storytelling and to lead the process with impact and with truth, right? Your conversations need to be truthful. So are there any stories that come to mind for you? This could be a book. It could be a movie. It could be a musical. It could be a TED Talk, right? It could be anything. So any stories that come to mind for you? And if anybody would like to share, feel free to come off mute, raise your hand, or type it into the chat. What's your favorite story? Anyone would like to share? Pursuit of happiness. I love that. Haripriya, would you like to talk about it? If you want to come off mute, feel free to raise your hand. Manisha, yes, Indra Nooyi's biography was beautiful. I enjoyed every part of it for sure. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you, Haripriya. Go ahead.
Yeah, that movie is really, really touching. It starts on their struggle, and it takes you through, not giving up even in his, toughest phase. How
Mhm.
he's managing the kid all by himself, and at the same time pursuing his dream to become a trader, and finally he sets up his own organization. So it's like the never give up, the emotional connect on his struggle. We feel we are there. So just really love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I'm on my own pursuit of happiness in my own way, so I can definitely relate to it, Haripriya. And that's the power of movies, right? Like, as much as it is a story about someone, you start connecting with the story, and you feel like if they can do it, we can do it too, right? Like, um, same with Vanisha. If you want to talk about Indra Nooyi's biography as well, right? Like, there's so much that comes into the whole spectrum of it, and there's so much power in the stories that they tell, and it makes you start to believe in the possibilities, the unlimited possibilities. So Manisha, if you want to talk about My Life in Full, go for it.
Sure, Dev. That novel, I mean, that autobiography had so much, but if I could just capture a little of it, I think in the beginning, if how you talked about an introduction, body inclusion, right? So in the beginning, she talks about her upbringing in Chennai and how she managed to. She'd always been the smartest kid in the class, and how she went from the IIMs, and she talks about her mentor with whom the parts that I remember, mentor with whom she stood in long lines for her visas and all of that, and then from there she sort of came to the United States, and then talks about draws a lot of parallelism between the personal and the professional life, and which basically laid the foundation. So a lot about Yale, IIMs, and then finally delves into PepsiCo and talks about how she sort of became the CEO, and her efforts of dealing with so many people in her life. I specifically remember this story where once she was announced the CEO of PepsiCo, she goes to her home, and she's very happy about it, and then her mom, she wants to
Yes.
tell that story to her mom, and then mom says that that's okay, that's something that you keep out of your home, but we're
Yeah.
out of milk, so go
We're
get
out of
milk.
milk. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
And that's the humility of the story as well, right? Doesn't matter who you are, where you become or what you become in your career, but knowing uh, and maybe being partly fully present in the moment is also part of the story, right? So yeah, I
Absolutely.
love that story, and I got to listen to the audiobook because I wanted to hear it in her own voice, and it was just humbling. There's so many amazing. I think we are in a century of such inspiring women. Like growing up, I used to always say like Princess Diana was my inspiration because I loved how she challenged the norm and said, hey, I am going to create my own mark, and whatever that makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. And Indra Nooyi had similar stories. Like there's one aspect, I don't know if it was in her book or in one of her talks, where she talks about as she's become the CEO of PepsiCo, and then she's left the organization. There's an opportunity where she's in the same room with the president of the United States, Barack Obama, and with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Modi says something along the lines of, "Oh, she's one of us," and she like
Yeah.
as an Indian. And Obama says, "Oh yeah, she's one of us too, right? Like she's an American Indian now." And I look at it as myself, as my journey, and I'm like, yeah, I am both at the same time as well. And it's a it's an inspiration for sure, but at the same time, that's the power of stories. And so I always encourage folks. Like I love TED Talks for the same reason. Like there's Simon Sinek who talks about start with why, and it probably changed my trajectory for good because I started asking the question why for everything. whether it was my day-to-day life to my career to everything in between, right? So there's an aspect of it that you can bring in that I highly encourage you to think about your favorite stories, right? I'm a Disney fan, so during the pandemic, when I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know there was a 3-letter acronym to what I was going through. But as a leader, I was told that, hey, the stress, you just have to deal with it. And that was probably the worst advice I could have had. But I was very fortunate to have a very supporting leader who gave me the space and said, hey, Div, take care of yourself, do what you need to do. We'll take care of the team and we'll be right here when you're ready to come back, right? Like I took some time off, and the Disney movies, I think we had Mulan when I was in India with my parents on TV, and I watched it and I was like, oh, I want to be fearless like her. Like I want to challenge whatever is happening and be a voice for breaking the stigma, right? There's so much that happens with mental health and well-being, and nobody really talks about it because we are a little too ashamed of it sometimes, and we think, oh my, why is it happening to me? But at the same time, I was able to shift that conversation from why me to actually sharing my story, because I realized that there were team members within my own team that had similar struggles, but they never felt comfortable sharing that with me as a leader. But once I shared my story, they felt comfortable sharing that story, right? So there are different aspects of it that come from the essence of storytelling and being truthful to yourself, right? Being authentic is important. I always looked at other leaders and be like, oh, I like what they're doing, or I don't like what they're doing, right? Like creating that servant leadership has been important for me. So find what those are for you as you're paving your own path in your career, as you're creating the stories that you want to tell others and the stories that will carry you forward into your own career path. So let's bring this back to what is in a memorable story, right? Remember the buyer journey and the phases we just talked about? Let's tie this back to that, right? You always have a start, you have a middle, and you have an end. Start, make it worth their time to care, right? Doesn't matter what we are doing, how awesome the product is, all of that is irrespective if it doesn't really connect, right? So we need to tie it back to that buyer journey, make it worth their time to care. The middle is, can we gain trust and credibility, right? That try and buy phase. They're going to see, is you're saying you can do X. Can you really do X, right? That's that trust and credibility part. That's important. That can make or break the deal. And at the end, find your true storytellers, right? Your advocates, the ones that'll go tell everybody else how awesome your product is, how awesome the capabilities are, and what you can do with the product, right? And in the next few slides, I'll show you some of those stories and narratives that came into existence in my product marketing career. And as a team, something that we are really proud of, right? We were able to build that. So let's talk a little bit about unified narrative, right? Here are two examples, right? I always think that every day is unique within the world of product marketing, and it's always full of surprises, right? I start every day planning for the day, but what comes along the way, I myself might not even know. And that's sometimes the beauty of it. Sometimes that's the challenges and the struggles that we may have as well. So the first example that I have, this was a year into the making. As an organization, as a company, we were evolving from a core integration product to include a lot of adjacent products. And we said, hey, how do we want to tell our story? We were going after the technical audience, but now we were going after the line of business, right? The business leaders. And so the story needed to shift from the tech speak to the business speak. And that was a big 360-degree shift, right? How do we make that happen? So we started talking about the narrative. We started bringing visualization at one of our design workshops that we did as a team. And this became the story, right? We can engage everywhere. We can connect everything from applications to data to people and processes, and we can run anywhere. And that story became powerful because everybody within the company started believing in that story, right? Not just me in marketing or in product, but sales, engineering, user experience, this impacted everything, right? How we visually talked about the product, how we looked at the product from design, documentation, everything was touched on, right? That is the true power of positioning and messaging. And so to make this a reality, we also came up with our own messaging and positioning framework. This was important for us to tie the pieces together, right? There are different ways to bring those in reality, but this was one way for us to do it. And so I'll share a link to that messaging and positioning framework here for you. The next example that I had is in services. And the first one was a platform and a product example. This one was as part of the infrastructure services team. And we wanted to visually think about how do we change the narrative from we have all these different products and services that you can buy to what does it mean within the life cycle, right? So from discover, design, implement, support, optimize, all the way to retire, this became the story and this became the power of the story itself. But to create all of this, you also have to understand who your buyer persona is. How do we think about that buyer persona, right? In an enterprise, you have not just one buyer persona, you have multiple personas. There are different people who are part of that buying committee. So how do we make sure we are looking at that buying committee and connecting the dots together? This became part of that equation. When we look at the entire spectrum, right, hierarchy, all of those aspects, you learn a little bit more about that buyer persona. But I also had a fun opportunity to work with one of my mentees to create a persona with feeling, right? The emotion part of it. Because at the end of the day, as much as we are all buying these products and services, there's an emotion that we tie to, and that's an important aspect too. In this example, the specific company, Pama Hair, was selling wigs. And in Africa, wigs are important. It is part of the personality. It's part of who we are as an individual. So whether you want a comfy wig, right, that will make you feel good about yourself, to a confident wig, maybe something that you will bring success for you in your career, an optimist wig, which is giving you hope and making you feel ready for the next project, or a trendy wig, right? You're fashionable, you are ready to go out in style, right? These are all different ways. And it became a fun project because I never thought about personas that way. And I said, oh, wow, this actually changes the conversation about bringing your work on personas to how does it make you feel when you buy this product, right? So there are different angles to it that you can play around with. At the same time, I had a chance to put together what I call the customer or buyer persona interview questionnaire, right? So think about the market, think about the customer, think about the competition. If you can connect those dots together, those are where the big story is, right? Everything that you're working on. And I'll share a link to that. All the way from who it is that we're connecting with, right? Setting the context, understanding the industry, the spectrum that we're working with, learning a little bit about their pain points, what their day in their life looks like, looking at their decision-making and buying criteria. What are the unique attributes that someone might see value in what you have to offer? And then looking at the opportunity for customers that are using your product today to what will it take for them to continue to use your product into the future, right? These are all aspects that can be part of that interview process itself. So here is your next prompt. Would you rather have a product that is an industry pioneer but faces skepticism, or a product that enters a proven market but with fierce competition? Where would you rather be? Industry pioneer or a proven market? And if you would like to come off mute and share, feel free to raise your hand. All right, in the interest of time, I'm going to let you sit with that thought, and we'll keep moving forward. Let's talk about part 3, which is about impact, right? We talked about the results and relationships, how important it is to strive for team recognition, right? We win or lose together. At the end of the day, everything that we do, right? Whether it's the product launch that we're working on, when we are trying to bring those aspects together, from establishing your OKRs to number 6, which is my follow through, right? Sometimes as a product launch coordinator or executionist or strategist, if you will, we launch and then we move on to the next project, which is the reality of our lives. But who's making sure that what we launched is successful? Are we tracking metrics, right? So that 30, 90, 180-day metrics have been very important. If you're launching a new product, it's very important to have number 5, which is that early adopter program, right? These are the 10 steps to take you from, hey, we want to launch a product, right, to what does it mean at the end of the day and how do we follow through after. And oftentimes when I start in my first job as a product marketing director, I like to ask a few questions to my stakeholders, my current team, so the existing product marketing team, product leaders, sales leaders, marketing leaders, and even the leadership team if I have the opportunity to, right? What is our vision? How does this impact our work? What are our challenges and opportunities, right? I like to think short term, that 3 to 6 months. What are we working for? What's our pressing immediate need? Most of the time it's sales and revenue. Biggest challenges long term, right? A year, 2 year plus, where do we see our company going? Talk a little bit about resources, talk about team and how do we work together. And then the last question, if you were in my position, what would you want to pay attention to, is probably the most interesting question for me, because I've never had a consistent answer. Every team has a different need. Some might say, hey, we really need help with our point of view. We need messaging and positioning. Some would say, actually, we're doing good there. We just need better media and analyst engagement, or launch, or competitive intelligence, or many other things, right? So this helps me level set every time I'm starting. So I call this my 100-day discovery, right? It's an assessment to see where we are today and what we need to do going forward. So it's also in that link that I just shared. So definitely check it out and use it for your own needs if it helps you as a product marketer or as a product manager or as a product leader itself. Next is thinking about OKRs, right? There's a very good TED Talk by John Doerr that talks about this idea called the secret to success was driven by setting the right goals. And definitely check it out if you get a chance, because it has shaped how I think about OKRs and what does that even mean for me. It has also shaped into me creating my yearly personal OKRs as well. And think about what these are, right? So we tied it back to our values: inspire, influence, and impact. We aligned it with our customer, with the employee, and the business. And so those were the 3-legged stool, if you will. And this allowed us to position ourselves and help build transparency across the company, because everybody knew what us as product marketing was working on for that quarter. And this allowed us to build the momentum and build the relationships with the different stakeholders. Now, we couldn't do all of that without data, right? So this was our initial take on how do we want to build a dashboard that has all of the information that we need, from product, industry, and solution content to our assets that we have, our case studies that we have. What does usage look like, right? Adoption that we talked about, our launch efforts, maybe even buyer persona. If we're going after a new persona, what does that growth look like? And then connecting it back to revenue, as well as any marketing channel attributions that we can think of. So there's a lot we can do as product marketing, right? There are different facets of it, different ways to shape it, but everything comes back to that stakeholder alignment, right? At the end of the day, this is probably the center part of what we do, right? And it's a topic that is very near and dear to me because it has taught me to stay true to my core values as I navigate through stakeholder alignment. As a product marketer, we love to wear multiple hats, right? It's our chance to think big, to think about empowering the team, but also knowing that there are different aspects of it, right? Our success depends on internal stakeholders, depends on the senior leadership and how they value product marketing. And this probably shaped what the alignment looks like, what those shared OKRs together would look like for winning together, if you will. So here are some examples to think of, right? When you think about that alignment, there are so many different stakeholders across product, across marketing, sales and business development, as well as services. So these are all aspects to consider when we navigate through the end-to-end spectrum. Now, I'll leave you with another prompt, and I know we could easily spend a whole day just talking about these aspects. But in the interest of time, I'm going to make sure you have time to ask questions as well. So would you rather have a product that sells itself with minimal marketing effort or one that requires constant promotion to maintain sales? Think about it. Take a screenshot, if you will. It's a question worth asking, and then look at your own product and see where you are today. So that's another part. So we'll shift gears and I'll share some of my learnings and reflections as we wrap up today's session. So keep those questions in mind. These were questions that one of our product marketing leaders, Nitin, has shared with me, and I'll be actually doing a session and a discussion with him in the next coming weeks. So these prompts and these questions were very timely, and I even shared with him saying, hey, I'll be sharing these with all of you today. So hope these questions gave you a little bit of reflection, if you will. So I'll share it's a fun story for me. You can tell me if it was a fun story for you or not. So I had a chance to go back to my high school after 20 years and share some of my learnings with the students of today. So these were 11, 12 graders, and they will be the future workforce, right? So when I had this chance, I was like, oh my gosh, what could I possibly share with them? And I took inspiration from Randy Pausch's book, The Last Lecture. If anybody knows Randy Pausch, he was a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon University. And he shared some of his life learnings and life lessons. And so I have a version of that, which I call 21 Reflections, because my birthday is May 21. And so the number 21 is very, I don't know, inspiring and ritualistic at the same time. So I won't be sharing all 21 with you today, but you can definitely check it out on the blog that I shared. But I'll leave you with a couple, at least the most important ones that hopefully will guide you in your own way. The first is time is the biggest wealth, right? Ask yourself the question, are you spending time on what matters? Where are you spending your time today? Is it something that you will look back and be excited about, be happy about? And that, I think, is an important aspect. Do what you love, right? When I talked a little bit about Ikigai in the beginning of the session today, I think 2017, 2018, I was asking that question, what is my Ikigai? What is meaningful work for me? And for me, that is being a mentor. That's the reason why I wake up every morning. That's the reason why I exist. And I am truly, truly grateful for all the support, the mentees, the students, everybody that has shaped my career and my life, because I couldn't be who I am without them. So I'm a sacred bow to all of you. The third is success on your own terms, right? This is something that I think I grappled with a lot. Growing up, it was get good grades, get to a good school, get a good job, get married, get a home, all of the things that were needed to be done. And I kept checking the boxes, and it didn't mean anything after a point. And I was like, what next? My career itself, like, it isn't that I started my job and I was a product marketer. I took so many detours, and I finally got to a place where I belong. And I know at the core of my heart that and soul that this is where I need to be, right? Everyone, and I shared this with my sister, and my sister says, everyone gets to their place in their own way. And so we shouldn't worry if we haven't figured out our path yet. And if you're looking at someone saying, oh my gosh, look at them, they've gotten there, how can I do that? Trust me, you don't have to be them. You just have to find who you are and then be true to that. And that's what success is. And if you had asked me what success means a year, 2 years ago, I would have given you a different answer. 5 years ago, I would have given you a different answer. But today, success is what makes me happy, right? It's my well-being, taking care of my people, mi ente that I call, right? Like my family. Those are all part of what success means to me. And if I can be there for my mentees when they need help, that is what success is for me. There is nothing else more important for me in today's life, right? We lost a dear friend of ours a couple of weeks ago, and it always, such moments puts so much importance to your life choices, and it gives you a perspective that you wouldn't have had otherwise, right? And so there are moments like these in your life that will help shape who you are and where you want to be. So I encourage you to think about that as you look at where you are and where you're going, right? Keep an eye out for who you want to be. That's an important one for sure. My last quote of the day: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And as you can see, I'm a big Maya Angelou fan. I was very fortunate to be in the same state as her in North Carolina for a couple years. And it has probably helped change who I am and really do a lot of self-discovery for myself. So as you are thinking about your own career, there are lots of skills that we could build for our lifetime of growth. And I'm a student forever, right? I'm always looking for opportunities to learn. And I learned so much from all of you today. So thank you all for that fun discussion. But it comes down to three things. And I call this the CEO mindset, right? Not the CEO as the CEO, but in skill sets, if you will. Curiosity, right? The Alchemist is a book that I have stumbled upon and has followed me in the past 5 years. And it's the magic you can find in serendipity, right? It's the attitude that every day is a new day and you're going to learn something new. And I love that we even had Manisha share today that curiosity is one of the skills and values that she treasures too. The second is empathy, right? You often hear folks talk about put yourself in other person's shoes. It's not even that. Sometimes empathy for your own self, because we are our worst critic and we are our hardest, toughest challengers. So how can we build empathy for ourselves and say, hey, today is not going the way you wanted to, and it's okay. I wish somebody had told me, Div, it's okay to be not okay, right? Trying to always strive to do the right thing and do what is needed. Sometimes you forget about your own self. And if you can't take care of your own self, how can you take care of your team? How can you take care of the people that are looking up to you, right? So all of that matters. And the last is openness, right? This is our ability to bring new perspectives, be open to new ideas, and bring the best in each other, right? So this is an area for you all to think about. So as I'm closing, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type it into the chat and I'll take a few of them. And if we are not able to get through all of them, happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and follow up as well. These are 21 books that changed my life for sure. So I wanted to share it with you. The Alchemist, like I mentioned, Untethered Soul, lots of books by Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm a big believer of mindfulness, and it has actually given me the space to pause and be present, right? Like having this 90 minutes with all of you has been a true joy. And I wouldn't trade the world for it. So thank you so much, Harleen, for it. And ask yourself the question, right? What is your ikigai? Where are you and where do you want to be? And we should always be lifting each other up, right? This is an anonymous quote. I don't know who wrote it, but it's the most important quote that I look up to every time when things go tough. We should be trying to cheer one another on, not trying to outshine or one up each other. The sky would be awfully dark with only one star. And that's very true, right? So let's go build the next evolution of product marketing, product management, product leadership itself together. And learning never stops, right? There's so much that we could build and grow with. And I share my learnings on Substack. So definitely check it out if it can help you in any way. And thank you all so much for this opportunity. I'll leave it for questions. And over to you, Harleen.
That was a great session. Thank you, Dev. We'll give a few minutes for the questions to come in. Until then, I'm curious, the questions you opened up to the audience, about the timeless classic versus cutting edge, and then about, a product that would sell itself in a competitive market or otherwise. I'm curious as to what your answers for those are. Like, what is your personal opinion on those questions?
You will hear my personal opinions in a couple of weeks because I will be sharing that with Nitin.
Okay.
For me, it depends on where we are when we think about the product or solution, right? There will be products where, like I shared the Amul story, right? There will be products which will always be the timeless classic, and you would rather do that. But for me, I think it's the cutting edge because that's why I exist. Like if you ask me to take something that is already done and all I need to do is maintain it, that is not me. I'm a 0 to 1 person, and once I've realized that, those are the opportunities that I go for, right? Like right now, the opportunity that I have at the company that I'm at, I have the chance to create and launch a new product, and this is a new space, it's a new market, everything is new, right? So how do you figure that out? And we're building a new team to bring this product to life. So that's what excites me, like the new frameworks, the what I have learned and how I can bring that into the process, but also learning from the people along the way. So thank you, Harleen, for that question. I see Vanisha has shared. Vanisha, feel free to come off mute if you want to have a conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed the discussions as well.
Sure, Dev. First, thanks a lot for the session. It was extremely, very, very, it was a great start to the morning and definitely put me in a lot of, thoughts. But just as the final question, yeah, I'll just read out my prompt. So
Sure.
it's been a tough market as a recent grad, and while it's been extremely challenging, for us to navigate the market, I, wanted to take some, your advice and your inspiration, for your experience, who sort of have experienced both success and setbacks. How do you sort of approach failure or setbacks, and how do you get back? What keeps you moving forward in the
Absolutely.
professional setup?
Yeah,
Yes.
and I love the question, Manisha, because it is important, right? There will be times where we are rising, and there will be times where we'll be rising from the ashes sometimes, literally like a phoenix. And I understand it's a tough market, and that's one of the reasons why I do mentoring, right? It's to help folks, whether it's with your resume review, whether it's to craft the story you want to tell in a job interview, right? The mock interviews, job search, anything that you need, I'm here. That's why I wake up every morning, so happy to help as you're navigating through. But at the end of the day, success and failure are just two parts of the same coin, right? You could be successful one day, and some days you're going to have a setback, and it's going to ask you the question, oh, what now, right? How do I bring myself back? I took a 2 year break from my corporate work environment because I had gone through a lot of burnout, a lot of toxicity in the work environment. And it really put a question to, oh my gosh, can I actually work in this environment, right? And when I, in August of last year, made the decision to come back to the US and to try again to look for a job, I was like, they're going to ask me the question, oh my gosh, you've been out of work for 2 years. What have you been doing? And how can you even do what is needed for a full-time 9 to 5 job, right? And asking those questions and really navigating through the real answer has helped me articulate why I wanted to get back to work and why this is important for me, right? I love teamwork and I love what I get to do in product marketing. And over time, I realized I missed that, right? As much as I was doing mentoring and teaching, I missed the opportunity to build and create something from nothing. And that's what I would encourage you to look at. What is that answer for you? And what does moving forward even mean, right? There was one story in one of the books that I was reading that talked about the infinity loop, right? You'll sometimes have to take 5 steps backwards so you can leap forward. And I feel like I made that leap forward in the past 2 years because I took the time to take care of myself. I took the time to figure out what is working, what is not working for my anxiety. And there's another beautiful exercise that if you are all up for, you should try, which is a personal brand question. Talk to your peers, ask your leaders, your mentors, anybody who knows you professionally, describe me in 1 to 2 words, right? These words will help shape your story. It will help you craft your narrative. And for me, some of those words were organized, calm. And I was like, you think I'm calm? I am organized, because if I'm not organized, if I don't, I need my day planned out for the next day. If I don't have it planned out, my anxiety kicks in. And knowing those fundamental things have helped me be more mindful about how I approach things. Like Harleen had asked me the other day, do you wake up so you start your day early? And I was like, I'm up 4 or 5 a.m. I go to bed at 8 p.m. But at the same time, you ask me for a call at 7 p.m., I'll probably be a zombie, right? I tell folks I become a pumpkin after sunset. But that's just how I am. And it took me a long time to figure out what works for me. And once I realized that, I'm actually thriving in this environment, because I have teams who are in India, I have teams who are in the East Coast. And if they're tomorrow, I have a 6 a.m. call, and I can take that because I'm already up and ready to get the day started. But that means I'm also wrapping up the day early, right? Being mindful of your calendar is very important. So hopefully, Manisha, that gives you a food for thought. But I know we are also at the end of the hour. So thank you all so much. And feel free to reach out if I can help in any way. And thank you, Harleen, and the Women in Product Summit for this beautiful opportunity. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Div, for coming and delivering this session and sharing your insights. We appreciate that. Just give me a second. I will share my screen. To show our appreciation, we have this certificate of appreciation from the Product Leaders Forum and Institute of Product Leadership. The QR code on the certificate will take you to a dedicated Hall of Fame page that is created especially for you, Div, and the recording of the session will also be available on the same. The recording of this session will also be available on our YouTube channel. Thank you once again, Div, for delivering this amazing session and kickstarting our Women in Product Summit for this year on such a good note.
Thank you all, and thank you, Harleen, and the Women in Product and the Institute of Product Leadership. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely rest of your day and amazing month of women leadership. So thank you.
Thanks for that, Div. Just before we go, we were supposed to have chosen a best question asked, but obviously due to time constraints, we couldn't get to any other questions. So this is up to you, as you are the speaker for today.
Manisha definitely had a really amazing insight. So I'll definitely
yes, she's been interacting
digital learning course as well. Yeah. Congrats, Manisha.
Congrats, Manisha. We'll get in touch with you via email to share the necessary details. Congrats on being the winner for today. Thanks again, Div. Thank you, all our attendees. I'm sure all our attendees have had an insightful session today, and you should get ready and look forward to such more valuable sessions. The next session is day after tomorrow at the same time from 7 p.m. to 8:30 on Thursday on the topic of building for young India. Make sure to register for the same. As mentioned earlier, the most exciting part of this summit is our in-person conference. So make sure to secure your spot with the link in chat. Thank you all for being here this evening. I'll wait here to let you all go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen to leave any reviews, feedback, or queries about the session, just sharing your experience or any feedback. Yeah, I'll just wait here for a few seconds to be, you guys have the time to scan the QR code. Okay. Finally, I want to thank you all once again for giving us your valuable time. I'm sure you've had a fruitful time at this session, and I look forward to hosting you in the next session of the Women in Product Summit of 2024. On that note, I'll end today's session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the evening or day. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.